Welcome back to Good Morning Maine. I'm here with Dr. Billy Oppenauer of the Maine Business School at UMaine, and he's here today to discuss his article published in the Journal of Industrial and Organizational Psychology called Counteracting Threats to DEI with Good Trouble and Innovation. Dr. Oppenauer, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So, of course, DEI is a big topic right now. There were a couple executive orders that change how we're thinking of diversity, equity, and inclusion policies. Can you explain, in your words, what are these DEI policies and programs?
Yeah, sure. DEI policies and programs are really about trying to create an environment where all people have fair access to being members of an organization. Okay, so we want to have fair policies and procedures around things like selection, promotion, discipline processes, and we want to create an environment where people feel welcome and respected within the workplace. Now, there's been a lot of misinformation campaigns around DEI in recent years, and a lot of it has focused on saying that DEI is all about things like having preferential selection that is sex-based and race-based, the types of things that we think about when we talk about affirmative action. Now, affirmative action can be a part of DEI programs, but it's often a small part, and sometimes it's not even a part of an organization's program at all. We're starting to see some efforts now to correct the record on what DEI is. The Academy of Management's DEI division recently put out a Share the Truth campaign where one of their core messages is that DEI and merit are not at odds with each other. And Stephanie Creary of the Wharton Business School was recently on CNN, and she was talking about how DEI programs really help us put fair policies and procedures in place in organizations that protect all employees regardless of their identity.
And I'm glad that you bring up the merit-based comment, because our President Donald Trump has specifically criticized these DEI policies and programs on the federal level. That's what these executive orders are targeting, federal spending on DEI. And he's saying that we want to transition into a more merit-based hiring processes. What does it say exactly? Did I write it down? It's about protecting civil rights and expanding individual opportunity. That's what one of the executive orders that dismantles DEI at the federal level says. Can you explain, what do you think these executive orders are going to change about how DEI is utilized at the university where you are and other places as well, even in Maine?
Yeah, sure. So there's a few things, because there's a few different executive orders out there.
Right, okay.
Right, so one executive order deals with regulations within the government and regulation for government contractors.
Yep.
And basically what they say in that executive order is that they want to do away with different requirements around DEI within the government and for government federal contractors. So that right there means that if we have DEI programs that are there strictly for compliance, we might see those go away in some organizations. The other executive order deals with what the president refers to as illegal DEI programs. Okay, now what he says is there's certain sex and race-based selection programs that may be illegal. It doesn't even really clarify from my reading in the executive order what they're saying is illegal. And this gets really murky because the Supreme Court has actually ruled that affirmative action is not prohibited by the Civil Rights Act of 1964. So there's there's a lack of clarity there on what they're talking about.
It does seem on a national level that people who are supposed to be instigating these executive orders are confused.
Yeah, absolutely, and rightfully so, right? Because if you go through the executive order, every time it refers to DEI programs and policies, it says illegal DEI programs, illegal DEI policies, making it clear that it's not talking about all DEI programs and policies, but it is going to create some confusion for people. And this is really problematic because the executive order calls for agencies to identify private organizations to investigate for compliance. And this has some managers concerned about how their programs are going to impact their likelihood of being investigated, even if what they're doing is legal.
Okay, so we are running out of time. I know this is such a rich discussion and we need more time for it, but immediately, who do you think these executive orders will impact if we do see changes?
Well, I think, there are two big concerns. The first big concern that you have is that whether or not you like the president is a legitimate authority figure, right? So when the president comes out and makes statements against DEI, that's going to impact how people look at DEI in certain situations. Okay, the other component is that if organizations pull back on their DEI efforts, essentially what they're going to do is they're going to limit their applicant pool for different jobs. And here in Maine, that's really important because we have a lot of labor shortages. We have fields like accounting, law, medicine, where we have trouble recruiting people, and we have basically a workforce that's starting to age out. And we need to be able to recruit talent from other areas that are more diverse than we are here in Maine, right? So if we don't have good DEI programs, it may be more challenging for us to recruit talent to fill these organizations.
That's a really interesting perspective, just the Maine perspective right there.
Yeah.
And you have done a lot of research about this. If folks want to learn more about your research, where can they go?
Okay, so I post all my articles on my website, which is williamobenauer.com, and they can also look at my page on the Maine Business School's website. Just go to maine.edu and look for the Maine Business School. You can find me listed on the faculty, and they keep updates about my research there.
Awesome. Thank you so much for localizing this topic in a Maine way. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Of course. We'll send it over to Devin Biggs for our full weather forecast.